There's multiple cats watching this video right now that have done things that are unprecedented. Hell, I dropped out of college, quit a successful sales career, and now make a living on YouTube. Even with that being the case, sometimes I catch myself kind of mentally limiting what I could achieve. Of course, as soon as I realize I'm doing this, I try to remove those mental barriers, but stories like the one today really make that a lot easier. So if you're in need of some inspiration or motivation, today's video is gonna provide just that. Today I'm gonna tell you the story of how Ryan Coogler went from a college football player to one of the top directors in Hollywood. Hope you enjoy the story. Let's get it. Bye. Ryan Coogler grew up during the 90s in the Bay Area in California. This was during what many people consider to be the golden era of hip hop. You had tons of different styles to choose from, as many cats prided themselves on having their own unique style. It was an amazing time, but it wasn't without its faults. The hardcore nature of hip hop culture in general at that time helped to narrow the vision of many of us growing up during that period. We loved our parents, but just like most kids, we didn't want to become our parents. We wanted independence, our own identity, to do our own thing. And all the cats that we looked up to either rapped, played pro sports, or started movies. That's how most of our paths started out, including the subject of this video, Ryan Coogler. But somewhere along the line, his path changed. Like many of us, Ryan Coogler started out playing football. He started around the age of 6 and it was just a way of life where he was from. Ryan attended St. Mary's College High School, which is a private school in Berkeley. But he lived in some of the rougher neighborhoods in the Bay Area. Because of that, he really didn't fit in anywhere except on the football field. He grew up loving movies, like really loving movies. He used to watch them over and over again with his dad. That was their thing. After high school, Ryan was able to secure a football scholarship to St. Mary's College, not to be confused with St. Mary's High School. Ryan was good in math and science and was originally intending to study chemistry. But St. Mary's is a liberal arts school and all the students are required to take a creative writing class. The class was taught by a professor who was also a novelist named Rosemary Graham, who had a history of not being fond of football players. She felt the sport was barbaric and went on a nice long rant about it on the very first day of class. Now, in many colleges and in sports in general, coaches encourage athletes to sit in the front of the class so that the professor knows that you're trying and, you get a better chance of getting a more favorable grade. That's exactly what Ryan was sitting, the whole time fully understanding that he's only here in college due to the sport that the professor is bashing. After a while, he couldn't hold his tongue, and an argument/debate ensued. Eventually, they just agreed to disagree and moved on. But that was his first encounter with a professor who would eventually change his life forever. So later that semester, Professor Graham gave the class a writing assignment where they had to describe the most emotional experience they'd ever had. So cool, Ryan writes his, doesn't think much of it, just does it. Hands it in, keeps moving. Later on, he's in a dorm room chilling with a bunch of the cats from his neighborhood when he gets a call from Professor Graham, who requests his presence immediately. All right, now imagine what it must be like getting that call.
Terror, 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 terror.
So Ryan kicks everybody out and nervously goes over to the professor's office. The whole way there, he's regretting what he actually wrote about, which he never fully discloses, but he says that had he been thinking, he definitely wouldn't have written about the topic that he did. On the way to the professor's office, he's imagining opening up the door and there's police and the dean, and he's super anxious and nervous about it. But when he gets there, it's just her. Here's a first-hand account of how the meeting went.
So I go walk over and I sit down across from her like I'm sitting down with Eugene right now, and she's like looking at me, those uncomfortable silences. She's like looking at me, I'm looking back, and she says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'm like, "Man, this is terrible. Like, this is gonna be like, So I tell her I want to be a doctor, and she's like, "Why?" And like where I come from, if you tell somebody you want to be a doctor when you grow up, nobody asks you why. You know what I mean? They're like, "Great, that's awesome." You know what I mean? It is. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm good at math and science." And I figured you should use that if you're good at it, and what better way to use it than to help people? I figured doctors can make money honestly and help people while you're doing it, be a good positive influence on the community. She looked at it and she said, "Well, I read your paper, and it was really visual. While I was reading it, I felt like I was there." And she said, "That's actually arguably rarer than being good at math or science. And you should consider being a writer. You know, you can do the same things you're talking about, but maybe even on a bigger level. You should maybe even consider going to Hollywood and writing screenplays. Is what she said. So I was completely weirded out at that moment. And I'm like, this lady.
What did you think when she told you?
I thought she was crazy. Like,
she was crazy.
So at this point, he starts thinking. He remembers how much he loves movies, yet doesn't have any. He took the $20 he had and went to Circuit City, and he copped the Pulp Fiction Special Edition DVD. Now the Special Edition came with the CD-ROM that included the screenplay. I have never seen a special edition like this, and if I have, probably just didn't notice, because just like Ryan, I had absolutely no idea what a screenplay was until maybe a few years ago. Anyway, Ryan pops in the CD and immediately feels right at home. He said he felt the same way he felt the first time he stepped on a football field. He copies the format of the screenplay and right there starts writing his own. St. Mary's cancels the football program, along with it Ryan's football scholarship. This is that fork in the road. This is the point where you can go full speed ahead down the road to your destiny, or say, man, it canceled my scholarship. Oh well, I tried. Now, sounds silly when I say it like that, but trust me, this happens every single day. Ryan kept it moving though. He transferred to Sacramento State, where he actually majored in finance, but took as many film classes as he possibly could while racking up 112 receptions for 1,213 yards and 6 TDs during his time there. After that, he got into USC School of Cinematic Arts, where he further honed his skill. And by 2009, his short film called Locks was screened at the Tribeca Film Festival. How'd it do? Well, Ryan won the Dana and Albert Broccoli Award for Filmmaking Excellence. If you don't know what that is, you can just listen to it and it sounds pretty damn dope, right? Award for Filmmaking Excellence, you dig? Now, Ryan goes on to win a few more awards on the film festival circuit, and in 2013, he dropped the critically acclaimed Fruitville Station. Now, that was his first major release. It was loved by critics, won multiple awards, and told an incredibly tragic yet important story. And it told it the right way. That was his first movie. Now, on only his second movie ever that he wrote and directed, this dude creates a smash, one of my favorite movies ever, all while revitalizing what some consider to be the most iconic movie series of all time. Of course, the movie I'm talking about is Creed. Now, Ryan has spoken to Sylvester Stallone about the movie while he was filming Fruitville, and he piqued Stallone's interest, but again, this is before Fruitville even came out, so he had no movies at all. But over time, Ryan continued to meet with Stallone as many times as he could, and he really began to get to Stallone when he started to break down his true motives for wanting to do the movie. It was very personal to him. Check this out. Many of those movies that Ryan was watching with his dad as a kid were Rocky movies. His dad absolutely loved those films. He would even make Ryan watch Rocky 2 before every major sporting event he ever participated in. Then Ryan's dad got sick, and he had to slowly watch his dad, a strong, powerful man, be reduced by this illness. And if you think of the plot of Creed, it's exactly that. Ryan wanted to make that movie as a tribute to his father. And after he dropped Fruitville, every studio wanted him. It was at that point that he could make whatever movie he wanted. And you know where he went for the umpteenth time? To meet up with Sylvester Stallone to convince him to make Creed. So they make the movie. It's an amazing work of art that allowed me and other members of my generation to see how the generation before us saw the initial Rocky films, which finally brings us to the next chapter. His third movie. Only his third movie, right? A movie that is so impactful even before it drops. And I know it's just a movie, but it feels like much more. I've honestly never in my life been more excited for a film. I've tried to contain my excitement, tried to downplay it. I can't wait to go see it. And for Ryan, things are coming full circle as Black Panther is about to release. I mean, it feels like he was destined to do this. What makes me say that? Well, guess what Ryan's high school mascot was?